Green hydrogen is not a fuel everyone talks about, but we should. Hydrogen is not just another fuel. Hydrogen is expected to serve as a primary industrial fuel in the 21st century, just as coal drove the 19th century and oil drove the 20th century. Decarbonized hydrogen produced by splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen offers renewable electricity. But how is this resource economically viable? India is and will remain energy starved if it has to grow its manufacturing capabilities and adopt greener energy. India is aiming for carbon neutrality by 2070. The path to energy security goes through a mix of oil, coal, blended fuels, natural gas, renewables, electricity. As per Niti Aayog, $3.1 trillion economy needs 1,650 billion units of power made from nearly 400 gigawatts of capacity. Of this, green electricity is only 17%. As per estimates, if the size of the economy must double in the next decade, India's energy consumption will grow 5 to 10x, which means at current rate, our energy import bill will triple by 2040. The only way out of this massive challenge is tapping as many green energy resources as possible. So, green hydrogen helps reduce carbon emissions. This could be a game changer in strengthening India's energy security and powering the energy transition. Last year, the government launched the country's first green hydrogen policy. The objective is to reduce fossil fuel usage and increase the penetration of green fuels. Now, India has the advantage of low cost. The cost of green hydrogen in the country is expected to fall to about one-fourth of global levels. At about $1 per kg, India could become the lowest cost producer of green hydrogen in the world. The government's National Hydrogen Mission has proposed building gigafactories to produce green hydrogen. The shift to green hydrogen is simply a shift away from depleting finite resources of fossil fuel. The environment-friendly fuel is produced, as I said, by splitting hydrogen and oxygen and using an electrolyzer. Electricity from renewables like wind and solar power the electrolyzer. At present, the country's entire production of hydrogen comes from fossil fuels. However, by 2050, three-fourths of all hydrogen is projected to be green. Governments all over the world are making the switch. Over 30 countries have released hydrogen roadmaps. 200 plus have released hydrogen projects and ambitious investment plans. The hype is real. India too isn't far behind. This space is brimming with opportunities. So, should you invest in the green hydrogen space? Here are 4 reasons why you should. Green hydrogen is a sustainable source of energy. According to data from the Oil Ministry, India's oil import bill nearly doubled to $119 billion in the financial year 2022 from $62.2 billion in 2021. This was due to the rise in crude oil prices and the Russia-Ukraine war. In March 2022, when crude oil prices saw the highest surge in 14 years, India spent $13.7 billion in a month alone. The continued coal and oil dependency will only increase this amount by 2 to 3 times. To cut down expenses and reduce this dependency, sustainable sources of energy like green hydrogen will become more of a necessity than a choice in the near future. This can be a game changer for India, which imports 85% of its oil and 53% of its gas demand. There is also immense support from the government to produce green hydrogen. On 15th August 2021, Prime Minister Narendra Modi flagged the launch of a national hydrogen mission and announced his decision to transform India into a global hub for green hydrogen production and export. The mission proposed building gigafactories to produce green hydrogen. Following this, the government announced a draft policy for green hydrogen. According to the policy, the government mandated that green hydrogen should account for 10% of the overall hydrogen needs for refiners by 2024. For the fertilizer sector, the requirement is about 15%. Further, firms would be allowed to set up capacity anywhere in the country. They can also buy green power from exchanges. So, this comes at a time when sustainable energy, environmental preservation, and energy transformation have taken center stage in India's government policy. India has vowed to be carbon neutral by 2070 at the COP26 meeting in Glasgow last year. Energy giants have already started making the switch. Since green hydrogen would replace traditional fuel, some of the biggest companies in India have already started making the shift. The Gas Authority of India, GAIL, India's largest state-owned natural gas company, is building the country's largest green hydrogen plant. NTPC is planning to produce green hydrogen on a commercial scale. The PSU plans to set up its first green hydrogen fueling station in Leh, Ladakh. It will ply 5 hydrogen buses to start with. Reliance Industries too has announced plans to invest 750 billion rupees in renewable infrastructure, including generation plants, solar panels, and electrolyzers. Green hydrogen cells could also replace the lithium ion cells in electric vehicles. Lithium ion cells are the heart of electric vehicles. Since they weigh much less than other rechargeable batteries and hold their charge well, they have become the mainstay of EVs. However, like most of you know, the lithium ion batteries are the most expensive components in EVs, accounting for 40 to 50% of its cost. They are also unstable in extreme heat and can cause fires. Enter green hydrogen cells. These cells are powered by hydrogen, the third most abundant element on the earth, while their emissions are only water. They are also known to outperform lithium ion cells when it comes to higher range and speeds, and refueling them only takes a few minutes. Green hydrogen could really change the EV landscape. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? There are various ways you can cash in on this green hydrogen wave. First, you can buy stocks of energy companies that can produce green hydrogen or have plans to produce green hydrogen. Second, buy stocks of companies that produce the equipment for generating green hydrogen, such as electrolyzers. Third, invest in heavy industries like freight, steel, and energy storage that will support the green hydrogen ecosystem. So, some of the companies that can be in your hydrogen stocks watch list are Adani Industries, Reliance Industries, Indian Oil, Larsen & Toubro, Oil India, BPCL. Remember, this is just a watch list and the stocks are not recommendations by any stretch. So you must conduct your own due diligence and consult your investment advisor before acting on them. However, before you do that, here's a list of things you must keep in mind before taking the leap. The first thing is hydrogen research in the country in general is still underfunded. In the NDA to 2021 budget, only Rs 250 million was allocated to the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy for hydrogen-related R&D. In comparison, 700 million euros were offered by the German government to firms working on green hydrogen alone. Second is the cost of electrolyzer. Green hydrogen is produced by splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen using an electrolyzer, like I told you. The biggest cost is the electrolyzer. The membrane electrode units account for 60 to 70% of the cost, while precious metals account for the rest. 1 million ton of green hydrogen corresponds to about 11 gigawatts of electrolyzer capacity. According to Niti Aayog, at present the cost of hydrogen production through electrolysis ranges from about $4 to $10 per kg based on the technology used. With a price decline for both electrolyzers and renewables, the Niti Aayog expects the cost of green hydrogen to fall to approximately $2 per kg by 2030 and $0.7 per kg by 2050. So the government recently approved incentives of 170 billion rupees to be allocated for electrolyzer and green hydrogen manufacturing capacity in the country. Companies using these incentives for mass scale production could certainly compete on cost. Third, hydrogen is an expensive fuel to move. The gas needs to be cooled to minus 252 degrees Celsius before transportation. While it can be stored as ammonia, a more stable form, reconversion is expensive. While policy and power market regulations released by the government are expected to boost green hydrogen development in the country, the truth is that the industry has a number of other challenges to overcome yet. Next, water availability is also a concern. For producing 1 kg of hydrogen, 9 kgs of water as input is required. Accordingly, a large-scale electrolyzer producing 0.15 million ton of hydrogen would consume about 3 million tons of water. Hence, shortage of water can be a key hindrance in green hydrogen manufacturing. And finally, the combustibility of hydrogen can be a risk. Its flammability and its lightness mean that hydrogen, like other fuels, needs to be properly handled. Many fuels are flammable. Compared to gasoline, natural gas and propane, hydrogen is more flammable in the air. A concern is that the higher energy content of hydrogen poses risks as auto fuel. As we know, auto fuels are highly flammable. A vehicle laden with hydrogen will be more vulnerable in case of a major accident. Hydrogen stations will need to adapt to more stringent safety measures. In other words, the technology for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles needs to be far superior in terms of safety. However, the risk of combustibility of hydrogen fuel cells is almost as much as in the case of lithium cells. Hence, companies that use technology to mitigate such risks need to be monitored. Most importantly, remember the green hydrogen stocks cannot be instant money spinners. A shift to green hydrogen as a new renewable source will not happen in a hurry, as energy transitions in general take a long time. Over the course of 60 years, starting from the time it was introduced between 1840 and 1900s, coal went from being 5% of the world's energy supply to nearly 50%. But in the next 60 years, from 1930 to 1990, natural gas reached just about 20%. So the transition to hydrogen will also take time. But green hydrogen is still at a nascent stage. No country has a definite edge in the technology of making green hydrogen yet. It offers a much better chance for India to nudge ahead. All this is a chance for India to innovate and cash in on the latent demand for new age fuels. Indian companies have missed many technology-led innovations in the past. Green hydrogen presents India with an opportunity to lead the change. So view green energy stocks with the same amount of caution as you would view other new energy stocks. Do your due diligence. A promising company must have low debt to equity ratio, a strong track record of profitability, strong cash flows and high return ratios. It must also have solid backing of promoters. You are now on a strong wicket to go out and find the right kind of green hydrogen stocks for your watch list. Hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.